Okay, welcome to Plant Geography. Let's deal with the nutrient cycle. Now, I'm convinced that the most difficult thing about the nutrient cycle is I can't actually show you what nutrients are. They're kind of like energy. You can't really photograph them. They are chemical substances that plants need to grow. And they often come from sources like weathering or from the atmosphere through carbon dioxide, okay? So here is a definition of what they are, and here's my best attempt to kind of represent it in an image. All right, now what you need to know is about the nutrient cycle is there are almost like the water cycle, stores and then flows, okay? So let's deal with the stores first. So we have soil. Yep. Now what is soil? When you pick up soil, you are literally picking up thousands of years of biodegraded matter, okay? So organic matter, dead plants, dead animals. Yep. We'll come back to that in a second, but in that soil is nutrients, okay? The next store we need to look at is biomass. In biomass, what we mean by that is vegetation and plants. Inside plants, inside trees, shrubs, bushes, etc., those living organisms have nutrients. So you can kind of see there's another kind of comparison to kind of energy, and it's the fact it's never really consumed, it's merely just transferred, okay? So soil, biomass, aka vegetation, and the last one is litter. Now what is litter? Litter is dead organisms like branches and dead animals, okay? So think about when you litter, it's kind of a waste product. Yep, but inside those broken off branches and those dead animals remain nutrients, okay? So these are our stores, and we need to understand the flows next. So our first flow that we're going to talk about is uptake. Now uptake, how do plants uptake nutrients? Well, it comes from a plant, and it has its roots, and it uptakes from the soil those nutrients through its roots, okay? So uptake is merely the moment that those nutrients move from the soil up into our plants, okay? We call this uptake. Next, the next flow is littering. Now, littering is the process of creating litter. So all it really is when our tree or plant dies, when it dies, it goes from biomass to litter. And that process is called littering. Again, all those nutrients that are stored in the biomass and now have become litter. All right? So, the last one, before we do our recap, is decomposition. Now, you should, hopefully, know what decomposition is. This is when decomposes is what we say. If you take this on to A levels, you learn about them, the carbon cycle. But essentially, these are bugs that break down the wood. It could be tiny bits of bacteria. And what they do is they decompose the nutrients. Sorry, they decompose the litter and they form soil. Okay? And that completes the cycle. So, to recap, these are microorganisms as well. These are often called microorganisms. Before we do our recap, we need to think about inflows and outflows. So let's do the inflows first. So rainfall can often add nutrients. Often this is kind of from the carbon dioxide that is in our atmosphere. It's adding it to it. And then we can also have an inflow from weathering. Now, weathering, you should know, check out my video if you don't, is the breakdown of rocks. And again, these are kind of like, think limestone and all of this. They're chemicals. And in them contains nutrients. So weathering is another type of inflow. And then let's compare it to our outflows. We have surface runoff, aka rivers, and then our other outflow is leaching. Okay, this is often kind of, again, done through water washing through our soil. So they're kind of very similar in the fact that we have surface runoff above the ground and leaching, groundwater flow. Both are done through the movement of water. Essentially, water, precipitation, washes away the nutrients and can make it a nutrient poor area. So, as a result of these inflows and outflows, some areas have better nutrient cycles than others, okay? Right, and that's kind of it. So just to recap, they have the stores, which are soil, biomass, and litter. And they have the flows, which is uptake, littering, and decomposition, which is done by microorganisms. And that is the nutrient cycle. Okay, guys? I hope you found it useful. Like and subscribe for future videos. And leave me a comment if you have any questions, and I'll get back to you.